based upon what happened, can you describe what happened from what your vantage point once Sergeant Rico and Sergeant DeLuca came up to Mr. Staples and Ms. Grinnell? What happened in terms of the proceeding thereafter?
They asked them to both stand up and follow them back behind the curtain onto the back door.
Okay. And do you know whether or not they specifically, were you within earshot of them when they were speaking to Mr. Grinnell, Mr. Staples and Ms. Grinnell? Were you within earshot at that point?
Behind the curtain?
No, when they were being instructed by Sergeant Rico and Sergeant DeLuca. Okay. But you could see them being spoken to, and you could see them get out.
Correct.
And did they go with the two troopers?
Yes.
Did they offer any physical resistance at that point?
No.
Okay. And did they follow the troopers out to this area behind the curtain?
Yes, they did.
Okay. And then, from your vantage point, at that point, once they had gone behind the curtain, did the meeting continue on in terms of the executive council meeting? Did it continue on at that point?
Yes.
Okay.
Did it ever stop?
Once they were outside and behind the curtain, did you hear something at some point within maybe a minute or so, maybe less, of them going behind the curtain that caused the meeting to stop?
Yes.
What did you hear? What happened behind the curtain?
I could hear Frank as well as the other one yelling behind the curtain extremely loud.
Okay, without getting into the specific content of what they said, were you able to hear that? Was it clearly something that you could hear with inside the area that you were at?
100%, absolutely.
Would it have been audible to folks up on the stage?
Yes.
And did it cause the meeting to stop or be paused at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And you were a witness to that, you overheard it?
Yes.
And what happened, even if there is a vision, is there an audio component that hears that?
Yes.
And can you identify, at least with respect to the one defendant who's here in court today, were you able to identify from the voice who it was who was saying those things or yelling those things?
Yes, I can.
And who was that?
Frank Staples.
Okay, and can you identify him here in court today?
Sure, it's the gentleman standing over there with a blue t-shirt, black beard.
Okay, I'd ask that the record reflect that. Is this the very same person we saw on the video with Sergeant DeLuca speaking to, who was in a red sweatshirt and a hat and had the same sort of a beard?
Yes, it is.
So basically, same kind of general look back on October 13th, 2021.
Yes.
No question in your mind, the person making the noise, the person spoken to by Sergeant DeLuca, and the person who's here in court are one and the same individual.
They are one and the same, 100%.
Objection, he can't testify to other people's knowledge. He just said he didn't witness some of this stuff. So he can't say for sure any of these things that they're alleging, that I don't even know what you guys are alleging because I don't have these complaints in front of me. I don't know what these complaints say. So if you want to keep forcing me to continue at this point, it's fine. But yeah, I'm objecting to everything.
Okay, if that's overruled, do you have any additional?
No, I have no further questions for Lieutenant Baldessari. He may have some questions.
Sir, do you wish to inquire?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay, please.
for sure. So you're saying that Lavoie was a witness to something that Therese and I did, and then you ordered them to arrest me? Is that what you said?
I believe that's what I said, yes.
Okay. And so what was it that Lavoie told you we did that warranted us being arrested? Where was the disruption? And well, the meeting didn't stop, you testified to as well, correct? The meeting didn't stop until after we were behind the curtain and I was in handcuffs, and then I was objecting to my illegal arrest.
Well, what's the question? Yes.
The question is, why wasn't there if there was a disruption, you said there was a disruption, and that's why we were brought behind the curtain.
Right.
So what was the disruption that got us brought behind the curtain? Because the meeting didn't stop, you said. The meeting never stopped. We got up quietly. Do you know what they said when they tapped me on the shoulder? Do you know what I was told? No, you don't.
I object to this question, Your Honor, because it's called for hearsay. The question that is
He said he knows everything. You can't tell us this is all hearsay now. He said he knows all the stuff. He's the top dog.
Sir, I want to hear what the state's objection is, and then I'll turn back to you.
The question posed to the witness by the defendant is, what did the person who saw the offending conduct say to the witness? That's hearsay.
No, that's fine. He might not know that. Sure. Okay. But what about the conduct itself? What is the alleged conduct that we were grabbed for right there simultaneously? What happened?
What disturbance did you do? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, we were brought behind the curtain. We were quiet. We didn't fight. The meeting didn't stop. What did we do to get pulled behind the curtain?
You made a vocal disruption
A vocal disruption where? When?
during the meeting.
During the meeting? So the when I said it's a lie?
No, we already talked about that.
Okay, so that's not what I'm charged with, that it's a lie? I'm never charged with that, correct? Have I been charged with saying it's a lie? Okay, so I'm not even charged with saying it's a lie, which you don't even know that you're saying I said. So what am I being charged with?
You're being charged with disorderly conduct.
I know, but what is the conduct is what I'm trying to get at. Where was the disruption? The meeting never stopped. Why was I brought behind the curtain? That's the question. It's very am I not making sense?
Sir, part of your obligations in this proceeding is, while you're conducting cross-examination, to do so in a dignified manner. You've got to pose your questions calmly, because you're trying to elicit information from the lieutenant, and you've got to let him finish.
I'm disabled, man. I tried to tell you that. I'm doing my best here, and thanks for trying to redirect me. I appreciate it. I'll try. So, sir, what is the conduct? What conduct? What was the conduct?
There was a point during the meeting when everyone was standing up, and the backs were turned to the executive council members.
The whole room has had their backs turned,
Correct?
pretty much.
Yes.
Sure. Was there people walking around with signs? And I mean, I heard all kinds of banging and stuff. Sounded like metal chains banging. Those weren't disruptions.
I don't recall.
Okay. And then when the admonishment happened, all right. Sorry, I get distracted easily. So the conduct. Let's get back to the conduct. So where was the conduct? What was the loud noise that you think I said, or what did I do exactly?
You yelled, yeah.
I yelled, "Yeah,"
Yes.
and that's why I got arrested, pulled behind the curtain. That was me getting arrested.
That was when you got arrested.
Right. I was actually told that they needed to talk to me, and then we got behind there, and I was arrested. So I said, "Yeah."
He's going to testify, he's perfectly able to testify, but I think that this is outside of the can of the lieutenant's knowledge in terms of what happened.
He's answering the questions.
Okay.
So I said, "Yeah" or "Yes."
Yeah.
You don't look too sure.
I've answered it twice.
Okay. Yeah. So I said, "Yeah." Do you know why I was saying "yeah" if I said "yeah"? Do you feel that was trying to disrupt the meeting?
Can't put myself in your mental state.
Well, you felt it was a disruption, which is why I got arrested. You said that "yeah" was a disruption, correct? That was the disruption?
I'm going to take objections from.
Yeah, I mean, what I would indicate is that what the objection is just, he's asked and answered the question as to what it was he was aware of, but it's also indicated that it was Major Lavoy came up to him. He was aware generally of the disruption, and that Major Lavoy
Blinky.
came up, talked to him, and he
That's when you know he's lying.
people to arrest. I asked him, was Mr. Staples specifically in his line of sight such that he could see him? And he said, no, he wasn't. And so the reason I'm asking, basically leaving, because he doesn't have the personal knowledge with respect to that, I'm gonna wait for Major Lavoy, play the video for Major Lavoy, and have him testify.
Sure, we'll get to that too, that's fine. But he's the top dog, and he was given the orders. They had to clear the arrest through him, correct? No, they didn't have to clear the arrest through you? Then I thought you got, hold on.
Sir, no. Please.
Sure. I'm trying to work
I
with you, bro.
haven't heard the lieutenant say, I don't know, or I didn't hear, or I wasn't there, or I didn't directly witness any of that. So this inquiry, I'm gonna allow it.
Oh, fine.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I said yeah, and you gave the okay to have me arrested.
I was instructed,
You were instructed by who?
Major Lavoy.
Major Lavoy instructed you to have me arrested? I thought Major Lavoy was the witness to me saying yeah.
Both.
So Major Lavoy was a witness to, and he reported to you that I said yeah, and then you ordered Greco to arrest me.
Correct.
Okay, so you see, slippery fish we're dealing with here. So you felt in your professional training and super high ranking position that day that me allegedly saying yeah was grounds to have me arrested for disorderly conduct.
At that point in the meeting, yes.
And the meeting was never stopped until after behind the curtain, correct?
Correct.
So the meeting was never stopped. Thank you. And how many, so that room there is a big room. It's huge. But would you agree with me that the public portion was about 1/4 to 1/8 of the total building, because it was split in half by the curtain, right?
It was split in half, yeah.
At least in half.
Probably a third.
The third. There was a big area back there. There's probably more. How many sheriffs and state troopers were back there behind the curtains, and how many vans were back there as well?
I don't have an exact number of who was stationed where at what time. It was pretty fluid.
Approximately how many guys with badges and guns were back there on staff? I thought you were running the whole show. I figured you'd be like, there was 10 of these, 20 of these.
I'm not sure you want me to answer that, because I said I'm not sure who was stationed where at what time during the meeting.
Would you say there was 30, 40? Would you say there were 3, 4, 5 vans back
I
there?
don't know.
8 vans, 10 vans?
Less than 8.
Less than 8?
No more than 5.
More than 5. And then approximate officers, 30, 50, 100?
Are we talking in total?
In total, there that day to run this operation, this security operation, yeah.
Probably approximately 70.
It was 70 officers that day.
Not all in the tech center or all in that area.
Of course not. They were all hidden in the back, waiting to round us all up.
Sir,
What?
can I just-
Okay. Yeah. What's up?
If you have questions for the lieutenant, please pose questions to the lieutenant.
Sorry. I get distracted. So, meeting didn't stop. And did you at all take freedom of speech into account during this incident?
what context? I don't.
In the right for people to be able to express themselves under the Constitution, express grievances, practice their religion.
I think we did.
You did? Did you arrest someone for saying amen that day?
Did I arrest anyone? No.
Did you have them arrested and say it was okay? Because we know it is. We know that Therese was arrested for saying amen. She was charged with saying amen. So she said amen, and I said yeah, and we were arrested for it. Is that what you're telling me?
Correct.
Okay.
And all this time has been wasted.
So you don't feel that is...
I'm going to admonish you not to make spontaneous.
Oh, that's First Amendment protected too. You can admonish him, but people are allowed to express their displeasure and their grievances on this bullshit sham. Okay? I'm going to motion to dismiss on religious grounds. Listen, this guy arrested me for saying yeah to someone saying amen.
Do you have any more questions for the lieutenant?
Of course I got more questions. We're not done. They were just getting started. He said I said yeah to amen. So Therese said amen, and she was arrested. And this is going to help.
I guess what I would indicate is with respect to what Therese said or didn't say, it's not a crime here. That's not relevant to this.
We were all trying to be co-defendants, so all these facts are relevant, Your Honor. It was a chain of events,
Ask your next question.
and they're trying to hide that shit. And we'll bring it all out.
Mr. Staples,
Ah.
I'm going to limit your ability to cross-examine this witness if you don't direct your question.
Is he going to talk to witnesses? Is he going to talk to witnesses?
Mr. Staples, ask your next question.
So Therese was arrested for saying amen. I'm just trying to get my bearings here. And then I said yeah. And that was reported to you, and you said to have the two of us arrested because we were both arrested simultaneously. Would you agree? We were both tapped on the shoulder at the same time. We pulled back at the same time and walked back at the same time. Would you agree?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. This is entrapment too, just saying, like, this is crazy. So, now I think we can move on to behind the curtain. Who's the Grand Oz? Who is giving you the orders to do these things?
What?
It was just you? There was nobody telling you to have anybody arrested that day or anything? It was all you making the decisions, correct?
No, I didn't say that.
Who else was making these
I
decisions?
reported at the time to Major Boy.
You were reporting to Major Lavoie, so it's confusing because I thought you said that you were running the show. So Major Lavoie is the big dog. So was he the one that the governor was texting with?
I'm not aware of anything.
You're not aware of those texts between him and the governor?
Just answer the question.
Sure. So, Major Lavoie, it's just weird because I'm getting very confused. Because I thought you said that Major Lavoie got your permission to have us arrested. I could have swore you testified to that, man, and we got that nailed down. And then you ordered Greco. So Major Lavoie came to you first? Is that what happened?
He came to me and told me what he saw.
He saw, so Major Lavoie saw me and Therese say amen and yeah. And then he was running the show and he told you to have somebody arrest us. Correct?
Correct.
And then we were brought behind the curtain. So behind the curtain, what happened behind the curtain?
I don't know. I wasn't behind the curtain.
You weren't behind the curtain, but you said that you heard some unintelligible yelling.
I heard clear yelling.
Sure. Clear yelling.
Shut the curtain.
What did you hear?
Shut it down.
Shut it down.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that point, you don't know whether or not I was in handcuffs, correct?
I do not know.
Okay. So, what else do you know? You didn't have anything to, or did you have anything to do with any of the stuff behind the curtain? Did you end up going back there at any point? Or did you stay here? I'm just trying to see if we can get rid of you or not. Because I want to move on
Getting
to.
arrested, I did not go behind the curtain.
You didn't go behind the curtain and have anything to do with those other charges, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. All right, so I think we're done with this guy.
Any redirect?
Now, at
No,
least.
nothing further?
Missed that.
Thank you. Thank you.
What was his name again? Baldessari? Baldessari. Got your license straight.
And may he be excused, or do you want to stay?
I know he needs to stay. We don't know if we need to bring him back.
Okay, if he's decided to potentially recall him, I just ask that you remain.
We don't know what these guys are going to say.
Okay. But you're.
And he needs to be sequestered somewhere. I don't want because this dude ran back there. I don't know if he was whispering something in somebody's ears. I don't know why he was allowed to get out of it like that. You know what I mean? Going out there and talking to the witnesses. He's like, let's get this show on the road. He admitted, I know, he's an idiot.
Raise your right hand. You swear that any testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and the pain and penalty of perjury. Thank you. Have a seat. State your name and spell your last name for the record, please.
My name is Megan Rose. My last name is spelled R-O-S.
Ms. Rose, where do you work right now?
I work for the Office of the Executive Council here in the state.
Okay, we can't hear.
Could you just keep your voice up a little bit?
Yes, I can.
Okay. How long have you been working for the Executive Council?
In my capacity as the Executive Assistant to the Executive Council, I've been working there since October 5th of 2018.
Relevance of this objection. I don't know what any of this has. Yeah, sure, she's on the executive council. What does this have to do with the charges? Is what I'm trying to get at.
It's a little premature to make it a relevancy.
Well, how long she's been on the thing has nothing to do with any of it.
All right, overruled.
Thank you.
So in that capacity, Ms. Rose, about how many Executive Council sessions have you attended?
There is approximately 11, 12 per 6-month period. So whatever the math is for that, I don't know, approximately 24 a year for the last 5 years.
So well over 100.
Yes.
And where do they usually come?
From the months of January through June, they're held at the State House in the Executive Council chambers. And then they are held from the months of July to approximately October out in the districts of the councilors and the governor. And then back at the State House from around mid-October to the end of the year. But with the exception of during COVID, we had to hold them in different venues to allow for the social distancing that we were supposed to meet.
Pretty big sham that was.
Just so the record's clear, October 13th of 2021, that was during this COVID rules about capacity and distance.
I believe so, yes.
And it's not, as you said, there is 2 to 3 months in every year where you guys take this show on the road.
Yes.
And so it's not unfamiliar territory for you and the executive counselors to be in different venues. And they're accustomed to making certain accommodations for the nature of those venues, are they not?
Yes.
On October 13th of 2021, you guys, the executive council had their meeting. Where was that meeting?
That was at the Police Standards and Training Council.
Are you aware of why that particular venue was chosen?
I believe that was the last on-road meeting, so it was, the governor gets to choose the last one. Well, I think, I'm not exactly sure if it was the last meeting or if it was Council of Wheelers, but it was either of theirs, and they get to choose the venue, so, and I believe that we were trying to make accommodations based on being able to accommodate people coming, because we had some important items on the agenda. We were expecting to have a lot of people, and we wanted to get space for everybody.
So, well, that's a good point.
Leading, he's about to try leading the witness. I know what you're trying to get at.
Let me bring it back to that. So, about how many people could be accommodated at the legislative office building where you guys normally have meetings?
We're normally at the State House, not the
I'm
election.
sorry, yes.
And I don't have an exact number for that, of how many people can fit in that building, fit in that room. It would not have accommodated the amount of numbers that we saw that day, at the actual meeting, but we usually have around, I'm gonna say, 30 to 45 chairs set up, like folding chairs, the metal folding chairs. And then lined down the sides of the walls, we have some old leather chairs that have been in the room forever, and some wooden chairs as well. I'm gonna say maybe that's enough for maybe 60 people.
Are you, in your capacity as the executive assistant to executive council, are you aware of how many people came on October 13th?
I have not.
Okay. If you could just, for the record, describe what the usual, in your experience, what the usual demeanor of the room is during a typical meeting.
So before the meeting starts,
Objection, this is some this is subjective, expert, speculative, like her opinion of how a meeting is. I object to this. She's not an expert or anything. I don't know how many she's been to or any of that. So,
Testifying to her direct personal experience in over 100 executive council meetings, I think she's
well qualified.
qualified to offer this test.
I don't, but that's fine.
so for government council meetings, the rooms fill up slowly.
Hey, I better report that Baldessari is talking to the other witnesses. Okay? You just saw it happen. Case dismissed.
To the extent that that's an objection that needs to be answered, Judge, I don't think there's
They need to be investigated right now. They need to be sequestered, and there needs to be somebody sequestering these guys. I mean, what the hell is going on right now?
There's no.
I was arrested for saying, yeah.
There's no prohibition of a witness talking to other witnesses as long as it's not about this case, Judge. They're all sitting in one place.
We don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Sequester means no fucking talking. They shouldn't even be looking at each other.
Just for the sake of thoroughness, can you just advise?
Council welcome to read water.
Oh, too late. Damage has been done. Fucking damage has been done. You won't even look at this shit. I mean, he already left the crime scene, man. Go admonish the shit out of him as much as you want. It ain't gonna do nothing. Damage been done. I'm not even supposed to be here till the 17th. St. fucking Patty's, yo. Shit.
Sir?
This says something else.
Mr. Staples, I'm just going to respectfully ask you to mind your language, please.
Oh, and I'm gonna respectfully decline. Thank you, sir. The whole point is, I'm not getting arrested for the same shit that I never even did any of this, except this legislative office building thing. God damn it. Yeah. I've been arrested for expressing myself. You're gonna arrest somebody for having a tick? You're gonna arrest a fucking somebody who's got, what's that, Tourette's? You're gonna arrest them if they keep having a tick? I already put you on notice. I got fucking head trauma, bro. And I get excited when I have to deal with lies and fucking bullshit. Okay? You see this whole thing as a sham. I know, you're a judge. I appreciate you. I've won federal lawsuits against this state. I've had DHHS attack my business and say I need to be licensed, and I went in there and I did this in 7 minutes and shut them the fuck down. And the appeals board said, get out. You show no cause. So I've been under attack by the state and these fucking COVID fucking bullshit mask wearing motherfuckers. Vaccine people.
Mr. Staples.
That's what this whole thing was all about. That's what they don't want to tell you about. It was about 74 million or 27 million in federal funding with strings attached to quarantine and isolate the unvaccinated who are now dying suddenly left and right. Oh yeah.
Mr. Staples.
Fuck around and find out. Go get your booster.
Mr. Staples, I'm just gonna ask you again, respectfully.
And this is part of my evidence.
That
Okay? It shows. Why ain't I being arrested right now for disorderly conduct?
well, because you're a defendant in this proceeding,
Oh, so I can kill somebody right now? I can commit crimes?
and I'm giving you substantial leeway.
No, you don't get it. This is all bullshit. It's not disorderly conduct. And whatever she got to say ain't shit. Keep going.
Mr. Staples.
I'm done.
I'm gonna ask the state to proceed. Please proceed.
You were telling us what the general demeanor of the observants are during a typical governor's council meeting.
Sure. So people usually start arriving anywhere between 9 and 9:30. We have members of the public that come. We have the commissioners and heads of state agencies that come. We usually have people that are receiving proclamations, and then we usually have some sort of school group or a person from the greater New Hampshire area coming to perform either with an instrument or singing or something. And so if we're at the State House, I'm there to receive those people and just kind of help show them where they need to be. The governor and council have arrived, and it's, there's a hubbub, there's people talking, there's people gathering, and as soon as the governor comes in, he calls the meeting to order, and it's quiet. Everybody sits down, and the business starts. We start off the meeting with the pledge and a prayer, or the pledge and a reading, depending on which executive counselor is doing the hosting the breakfast meeting of the day. And from there, they get into the music, and then the proclamations, and then we get into basically, we start off the agenda with the list of JPPs, there's just a piece in here, memory public, so just kind of go over that stuff, and then once that's all done, they get into the actual meeting agenda. There are there's no opportunity in that time for the public to speak, it's just, you're there for observation.
And typically, in a typical meeting, is that communicated to the observants in the room?
I know the governor usually announces, welcomes everybody, and just reminds everybody, like, you're welcome to take pictures, videos, but turn the ringers off just so we can all stay focused on what's going on. The press is there. We have the phone set up so people can call into the meetings. I don't know that he actually says, like, you can't speak. I feel like people know that it's posted on our website that the governor and council meetings are for observation.
If you would, contrast your experience of the meeting, October 13th, 2021 with the meeting.
So, if we were to do a typical, like, a meeting on the road, which we'll call that meeting on the road, it's not at headquarters of the state house. It's, no matter where we are, the expectation of decorum is always the same. The executive council get their agendas on Friday before the meeting, they're made public that Friday. If there's an issue, if you have a concern, you bring it to your counselors, bring it to the counselors. That's what they're elected for. You bring it to them, and then
They should answer their emails.
They will speak on it, bring out questions,
Can tell
or
them.
say that they're getting information from their constituents. But it's always quiet, it's, people
And just to make sure the record's clear, there weren't any public finance items on the agenda that particular day, right?
There were no BFA items.
Okay. And so this wasn't a meeting where anyone was expecting anybody from the public to be addressing the meeting.
Correct.
Fine. Thank you. No further questions.
Do you have any inquiry to make for this?
Couple. So, you said a typical meeting is quiet, but then you just testified also that this wasn't a typical meeting, it wasn't in a typical location either, is that correct? We,
I guess you probably could take it that way, but that's what I said.
it's usually not that many people, it had to be held in a special location
Correct.
for that reason, because you knew there were gonna be a lot of people there. Do you know why a lot of people were expected to be there?
Objection.
Excuse me, Frank.
You don't know if she said what she knows. She might know.
What's the relevance of your inquiry?
What did I ask now? I can't even remember.
Was there an expectation that there be a great?
Oh yeah, do you know why there was expected to be?
What's the relevance of your question?
Because it has to do with the amount of people that were there, why they were there, why they might be a little bit more, especially louder, not just the general having more bodies there. And are you familiar with this location? So,
And your objection is?
The reason why there might be more people there is not relevant to the charges at hand. That's my argument.
I'm saying it's relevant to the general conduct of the people who were there in attendance. If she doesn't know these people, if she's not familiar with these people, was she aware of why there might be more people and what type of people might be there? That's my question. I'm just asking if she was aware. She might say yes or no question.
I'll allow
It was my understanding that the people that were attending the meeting were people that had attended the prior meeting, and the interest that was coming through email to the council at that time had to do with items regarding federal funding of COVID dollars.
So you are aware, and are you aware that there were a lot of people against the acceptance of the money? And that's who most of those people were, and that's why the meeting had to be held there. So that's basically what you're saying, right? What exactly what I said. So, would you agree that the people who are against the COVID money, so why are you aware of the previous meeting, and what were the context of the emails? Are you aware that that meeting was shut down and wasn't allowed to proceed over that money, that same money?
I'll sustain that objection, because now I'm starting to get a little.
Well, it's funny, they wanted to allow character evidence from all these other things, and I agreed to it.
Well, Mr. Staples, I allowed your inquiry.
So-
She responded to your question.
So she knew it was about, all right, I got another one. So, have you ever been to an executive council meeting at that location?
Just that day.
Just that day. So you're not familiar with that location at all, except for that day.
That was the first time I had been inside that building.
Excellent. So this was an atypical meeting, and it was much louder than usual because of the COVID funding acceptance. Were you a witness to any of the disorderly conduct?
I would move to strike the
Hold on, no.
characterization.
Of the pandemic?
Sir, could you just pose questions, please?
I'm trying, doing my best here. So, were you a witness? You were there in attendance the whole time?
I was.
Did you witness a disruption at any point?
Yes.
What was the disruption that you witnessed?
There was loud noises and yelling and shouting and things that don't normally happen at a government council meeting.
Was that taking place in that room?
Yes.
Who was yelling and shouting?
I can't answer that specifically because I was facing the stage, but it would have been people behind me.
Would it have been, was it more than one person?
Yes.
All right, so there was yelling, so you felt that the yelling, there was some yelling that was disturbing. And when did the meeting stop?
I don't know exactly what time.
You don't know, but well, at what point in the state of events? When did, so the yelling that you're talking about, was that before or after Megan Walsh's general admonishment to the crowd? The sergeant, do you remember when the sergeant said, hey, and any more outbursts and we're gonna arrest everyone or something?
I do remember that. The yelling happened before. There was multiple points of yelling, and that happened before that statement.
And then
And then after as well.
and then after as well.
Yes.
And all right. And when were people arrested that you witnessed?
Just want to make sure that I'm answering your question appropriately. So after the Lieutenant Walsh, is that correct title, Lieutenant Walsh? After she made that announcement, and there were additional outbursts, that is when any arrests took place or people were removed. Again, I am not facing the same direction, so
Okay.
I cannot see who.
But you heard these things.
Yes.
Did you hear someone say amen? And yeah, and is that what you were considering one of the disturbances?
No, I did not hear that.
So you didn't hear amen and yeah or consider those a disturbance?
I heard yelling, but not specific wording.
Okay, that's fine. Yelling. Like, ah!
Yelling, outburst, sighs.
Sighs, things like that. Would you consider those disorderly conduct when people go, oh?
Objection, that's for legal.
Sustained.
Would you consider that disruptive?
Yes.
Would you consider that protective of your expression under the freedom of speech and right to redress your grievances with the government? Would you feel that's protected free speech? Would amen be religious in nature, someone saying amen?
I'm sustaining the state's objection to this line of inquiry.
Oh, that's fine. So it was all about the COVID money. We know that. And yeah, I don't feel like we need for this one anymore.
Nothing further for this one.
She can probably go home too. I don't think we would need to have her back.
Is there any objection to this witness being excused from the day?
No, Your Honor.
Status next to call Sergeant Megan Walsh.
Let's get it. Got all these guys. Hope you guys are enjoying the show. Say hi to your YouTube fans.
Mr. Staples, are you recording?
Of course I'm recording. I always record. I've been recording the whole time. And I've been recording I always have authorization. I already had pre-authorization. So you can go research the court record, okay? Because I ain't stopping, and I damn sure ain't stopping now. What did I tell you at the beginning? I don't ask permission. I don't need pre-authorization. We went through this downstairs. We went through this multiple times, okay? So now you want to say, oh, hey, what are you doing when you've been recording all your stuff this whole time? Since the day one of these trials?
Sir,
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate that you were recording.
I don't care what you appreciate because you don't seem to appreciate the First Amendment or our rights very much, sir.
Sir.
You're allowing this sham to continue. Let's go.
Sir, I've allowed this gentleman to record because he...
You're not allowing, he has the right.
And I authorized two other people to make recordings. but
You
you
didn't.
never submitted a request.
He don't need authorization either, he'll tell you.
All I need to do is notify the.
Notification, you can't deny it. And I notified you, I told you, I don't ask permission. I notified you, I'm here, you can obviously see what I'm doing. So, I don't know what you're trying to do, man. This is just foolish. We're wasting time here, I think.
Well, I didn't authorize you to.
Well, I'm not even supposed to be here for this fucking trial today. I'm not supposed to be here till next fucking Friday. You don't want to listen and you don't want to check. Okay? So, here we are. I'm not prepared for this shit. Let's get it the fuck on. Because I got witnesses to call if we can.
All right, Mr. Staples, in the interest of keeping this proceeding moving, I'm going to authorize you to continue to record this proceeding. But I just need to warn you
Oh,
that
go
your
ahead.
histrionics are starting to get a little carried away.
I don't give a, they've been carried away, okay? Don't tell me it's now just getting carried away. We've been recording this whole fucking time,
Well,
all right?
you're right that you've
Right.
gotten carried away in the course of
And now it's sinking in from before. You're seeing that I'm not getting arrested for any of this stuff when I didn't do anything near what that was on any of these charges anywhere, okay? And I've done this after hearings, and nothing's happened.
So the court is allowing you as a defendant in this proceeding
To commit crimes.
substantial leeway
Sure, this makes so much sense.
in the interest of ensuring.
It doesn't make any sense. Logical fallacy.
process.
No, I'm not even going to go through which
I'm
one.
just warning you. that-
I don't need it.
that you
Don't
need
warn
to
me.
Watch your language, and that you need to.
I told
conduct
you.
yourself with more dignity.
Oh boy.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please stand?
More dignity.
Would you raise your right hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to offer this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Can you please give us your name, and would you spell your last name for the record, and you may be seated?
Good afternoon, my name is Sergeant Megan Walsh, MEGAN, WALSH.
Where are you currently employed?
So I'm currently employed by the New York State Police out of Fruity.
And tell us a little bit about your training experience to become a state trooper.
So I was hired by the New Hampshire State Police in May of 2013. I was a graduate of the 61st Police Academy. Since that time, I have served multiple troop D. I have had some different roles in the division, including recruitment and training. And now I'm back in troop D in a patrol supervisor capacity.
And when did you go from being a regular, say, patrol trooper to becoming a sergeant?
In 2021.
2021. Were you elevated to the position of being a sergeant prior to October 13, 2021?
I was, it was August.
Okay, so a couple of months before the events that were in court today, you had become a sergeant at Troop D.
I have, yes.
Okay, and can you tell us briefly, sergeant as opposed to patrol trooper, do you have additional duties that come with that?
I do supervisory duties, administrative duties, variety.
Okay. So, in your capacity as a sergeant at the New Hampshire State Police Troop D Barracks, were you assigned and to be involved in the October 13th, 2021 Governor and Executive Council meeting at the Police Standards and Training Facility?
I was, yes.
Okay. And do you recall approximately maybe what time you would have got there?
I believe I probably would have got there around 7 in the morning. I know the meeting was due to begin at 10, so we were there to kind of set up, get some briefings, get set up as far as where we were going to be within the building, and some of our duties that we were going to be executing that day.
Okay. So were you at that facility in the tactical room at or about 10 o'clock when the meeting was due to start?
I was, yes. So the entrance, where all the visitors were coming in from, I was along that long side of the wall.
Okay, if it's easier, there's a video here. Do you want to come up and maybe just, obviously in this video, I think it may show you, but tell us relative to not just that video, but the morning up to that point, where you might have been stationed.
So right here along this left side of the screen is where that wall is. I was pretty much there for the entirety of the morning up until I gave that announcement, and then I was at different points within the tax center during.
Okay, and do you recall, in terms of the duration of this meeting, about what time you would have given the warning that you indicate you gave?
I can't speak to an exact time. I know that it was at some point after it began.
Okay,
As far as the time that I said, I'm not sure.
okay.
We need to trouble you to go back to the microphone, just because your statements won't be picked up by the record.
Thank you very
It's a
much.
trick they do.
So, during the early part of the meeting, when it began, do you recall the governor giving a general announcement to the crowd in this assembly?
I do, I can't speak to the specifics about what he said, but
And I didn't want you to. At some point in time thereafter, did the governor lead the crowd in a pledge of allegiance? Do you remember that?
he did, yes.
And do you remember towards the end of that pledge of allegiance period, did the governor then address the crowd again?
He did.
Again, without getting into the specifics, did the governor give them some general information about the conduct at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And after the governor had spoken to the crowd, is it fair to say that the governor's statements were out to the crowd in general?
Yes, he was speaking at the microphone.
Okay. At some point after the governor had said what the governor said, were there some times prior to you making an announcement where there were noises or disruptions that you witnessed and heard?
There were some members of the crowd that were, when things were said on stage, they agreed with or disagreed with, your statements or, exasperations, things of that nature. Just kind of based off what was happening on stage.
Okay. At some point in time, did you see Sergeant DeLuca approach someone and give them a warning?
I did, yes.
Who did Sergeant DeLuca approach and give a warning to?
So I saw him walk up to, Mr. Staples and Miss Grinnell. I believe she was in that general area as well. I don't know what he was talking to them about, but I did see him walk up to them.
Okay, and you saw him speaking, and when we were talking about Mr. Staples, do you recognize Mr. Staples?
I do, yes.
Is he here in court today?
He is, he's in the blue
Can
t-shirt.
you ask, just for our record, what is he wearing perhaps for a shirt? What does it look like he's wearing for a shirt?
He has on a blue t-shirt.
Does also sort of look like a gray or blue t-shirt? Okay. And, how about, does he have a beard?
He does, yes.
Okay, I just asked the record.
Objection.
She's identified as stable. I know he wasn't necessarily attired the same way, but on the date of October 13th, 2021, are you able to identify the fellow who Mr. Sergeant DeLuca walked up to and spoke to as being Mr. Staples?
It was.
Okay. And with respect to that, you said you didn't actually hear specifically what was said, but at some point in time, after Sergeant DeLuca spoke to Mr. Staples and or Ms. Grinnell, was there a point where you were tasked to give a general announcement to the crowd?
I was, yes. Staff Sergeant Baldessari, at the time, came up and asked me to make an announcement to the crowd that if there were any more outbursts, those individuals would be arrested for disorderly conduct.
Okay, so when Sergeant and now Lieutenant Baldessari came up to you, was that after Mr. DeLuca, Sergeant DeLuca had actually gone up to the defendant, Ms. Grinnell?
It was.
So it was later than that, and were you a witness or had you heard the things that were causing Sergeant Baldessari to come up to you and announce that there was going to potentially be arrests if people continued to disrupt the meeting?
I had not just the general things that I'd spoken about, was some, exasperation from the crowd, some random statements and phrases, things like that.
Okay, so you were just generally aware of some of the activity, but he came up to you and said specifically, would you make an announcement?
Yes.
Okay, and with respect to what you were doing, when you went out to make the announcement, did you do so and interrupt the people up on the stage who were talking, the governor and the executive council, or did you wait for there to be a pause in the meeting in order to be able to make that announcement?
Yeah, so I waited for there to be a pause. I recognized that they were in between topics because there was a lot of paperwork shuffling and there was a moment to be able to do that without interruption. So then I made my announcement to the group. I stepped to the front of the audience.
Okay. Now, we've had it played, but I want to have it played again. I just want to have you confirm that this is you and this is the announcement you made.
can't hear this. This is not, I'm gonna object to this evidence being used and presented. The audio is, they got it like cranked up to try to make it sound louder than it is. It's unnaturally boosted.
Can we allow this to play without the defendant talking to the court?
I'm objecting to the evidence at this point. You can't even hear it.
So we're going to be arrested for disorderly conduct if we disrupt the meeting.
A lot of booze after that.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you for just one.
A lot of exasperations. Funny how nobody was arrested.
This hat here, is that the hat being worn by the defendant?
On the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So with respect to whoever's recording this and making the statement about being arrested for disorderly conduct, does it appear that they're making that statement essentially right next to Mr. Staples? Okay. In terms of your giving that ammunition, describe for the court what your intent was in terms of advising the people who were there in attendance, the members of the public. What were you intending to do?
My intent was just to be very clear, so that we appreciate your desire to be here. If there are any more outbursts or disruptions to the meeting, you'll be arrested for disorderly conduct.
Okay. Clear, just as you said it here today. And was it your intent, and do you believe that your statements reached the people? You can't tell who might have hearing issues or whatever, but was your intention to advise all the members of the public who were there that day that from this point forward, any further disruptions would result in arrest for disorderly conduct?
Yes.
At some time after you gave that instruction based upon a conversation you had with now Lieutenant, but back then Staff Sergeant Paul Sarge, correct?
Yes.
After you gave that instruction, were you aware of any sort of a disturbance or noise which led to the lieutenant giving instruction to Sergeant Rico to go and arrest Mr. Staples?
I was in a position that I heard Sergeant, but I didn't know that I saw Sergeant, Lieutenant Sergeant Rico go over.
Okay, so you were able to witness Sergeant Baldessari direct Sergeant Rico to go over and make an arrest?
To direct Sergeant Rico?
Yes.
No.
Oh, you didn't see that? Okay, all right. After you made your announcement, did you walk back to the area where you said you were sort of along the wall?
So I was between the wall and where I made that announcement. That's where I was stationed, that's where I was positioned.
Okay. And that was up closer to the stage in terms of location?
It was.
Not far back or further back in the crowd area where Mr. Staples was?
I was essentially the farthest position away from the curtain before the closed off area in front of the stage.
Sort of near the closed off, cordoned off area, correct? Did you have any personal contact with Mr. Staples that morning after this announcement that you made? Did you, in other words, were you involved in his arrest? Did you go behind the curtain? Did you do anything with Mr. Staples?
I did not.
I have nothing further with this witness. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Staples, you may inquire.
So you testified that there were people making exasperations. Was it similar exasperations, like as to right after you warned everybody there was kind of more exasperations? Would you agree we just witnessed that? Is that the kind of characterization?
Yes.
Okay, and those are exasperations, disorderly conduct, is that an arrestable offense?
So,
Or is it protected by the First Amendment?
Yeah, I'm gonna sustain that objection.
What did he say?
I'm gonna sustain.
I objected. I said, I think you're asking for a legal conclusion, and I think it's for the judge to make legal conclusions, not the witness.
Oh, okay. So, why didn't you arrest anyone after you just warned them and then they just had a few more exasperations that you said those were the same type of exasperations that you were warning them about? So, why didn't you arrest anyone after you gave that warning?
well, Mr. Clinton wanted to give everybody the opportunity to comply with the order, give them an opportunity to do what was being asked so that the meeting could go on and everybody could want to witness
What is an outburst or a disruption? How are we to know what that is?
Somebody that disrupts the meeting.
And what would that be? How do we know that what you're admonishing, like outbursts or disruptions, you weren't specific to any one person, were you?
No.
Was there any one person that made you get up and say that, or would you say that you were ordered to get up and say that?
I was ordered to go.
You were ordered by Major Lavoie,
Staff Sergeant, well, sorry, it's not now.
Staff Sergeant Baldessari at the time, he's now lieutenant. So he ordered you. Did he tell you why?
No.
So you didn't do that on your own. You didn't feel that there was a need to admonish the crowd on your own without the order.
Can you repeat that, sir?
You didn't feel the need to admonish the crowd because you didn't without getting the order from him. So those exasperations that you were referring to that happened right after you gave the order that you didn't arrest anyone for, that you said you would, that were happening before, these just general exasperations, there's a lot of people there.
Bring the question home.
So, yeah, I might have lost my train of thought a little bit. So the outbursts and disruptions, you didn't specifically warn any one person, and you were ordered to give that, and you don't know exactly why you were ordered to give that.
Well, I think that people had been saying things out loud, and there were some words that were being said.
You think that, but you don't, do you know for sure exactly why you were given that order?
In that moment,
No. Did you get told afterwards why you were given that order?
no. It was,
So you still to this day don't know why?
it was to keep the disruptions to the meeting.
The disruptions to the meeting. So what were the disruptions?
Sorry, she was responding to the question.
Sorry.
Just let her finish and then go to
Alright.
the next question.
Yeah, so can you be specific about the outbursts and the disruptions that you're privy to and that you would consider arrestable? That you would.
Just repeat that, can you repeat that for me?
What are some of these outbursts and disruptions that you feel is arrestable under the disorderly conduct statute as your job as an officer?
So obviously, people are shouting words and they're shouting phrases while business is being conducted on the stage, and that's gonna interfere with the conduct of that meeting. So it really doesn't matter what the words specifically are, it's the in nature they're disrupting the meeting.
Gotcha.
I'm not looking to say certain words or phrases that you are not allowed to say, it's in general things that are going to
Anything,
involve the
any
action of-
sound? Is there like a decibel level
I can't speak to this.
to the law? There's no decibel level in the law?
No.
Okay. And you said you heard people sighing and breathing heavy? Those were similar.
Less breathing heavy, right, just people who were, like you said, when I made my announcement, people.
Well, we heard it, yeah. So those are just like exasperations. Those are what we were warned about. And so you said that I was spoken to for something that you don't know what that was. It could have been somebody fist bumping me and saying, I love your YouTube channel or something. For all intents and purposes, you don't know, right? Okay. And then you made your thing. When you heard all these other exasperations, how many people approximately in the room were making these exasperations, and was I one of them?
I'm not sure, I can't speak to that.
Or you didn't witness me as being one of those many people? You didn't pin me, can you pin me down as being one of those ones?
Presumably, to be honest, I don't think I was looking at you, so I.
So no.
I don't know.
So no, you can't, correct. So you just heard a lot. How many people approximately in the room? It was more than one person exasperating and making noises, you said? How many approximately?
I can't approximate, but it was definitely more than one.
Definitely more than one. Would you say 5 to 10 or more like half the room or the whole room?
I'm not sure.
So there were exasperations, and I was spoken to once. Was anyone else spoken to individually in the crowd of all these people that the whole crowd is being warned about? How many other people were individually warned besides me?
If anyone else was warned, I was not aware of it.
You're unaware of it. Maybe we might need to get him back here for that. I think we're going to need to get him for that one. we're gonna need Baldessari back. So you know what, so we'll do outbursts, typical. Do you attend these type of things often? Is this your typical duty?
I have never been to one of these.
So you don't know how they typically go, what type of is decor, you don't know what about the decorum?
No.
No. Thank you. That's it.
Any redirect?
A couple of questions. First off, when we showed the video, is it fair to say that Mr. Staples from this video was some distance away from you, from some significant distance away from you?
He was probably a good few rows away from me.
Okay.
Objection, relevance.
Well, you asked a question, I'll address it. I think it's relevant because he addressed the question to her about, did she see him do something in particular? And she said, I didn't, and I'm trying to get the spatial thing here about.
We already know she was not,
Whether he was
doesn't
close.
matter. I don't think that's relevant to why she didn't hear. She didn't hear is the end all and be all. She already testified that she was a distance away and all that, so I don't see the point of that, except trying to get her to say something else. But yeah, free to do it.
Staples has a legitimate argument in that regard.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, with respect to the people, is it fair to say that there were three different groups of members of the public? In other words, behind the cordoned off area, there were three separate areas.
There was almost like 3 separate bays with aisles in between, and then there was the cordoned off area for the media, and then the cordoned off area for, all the governor, council gear, video, all that stuff.
Okay, is it fair to say that where you were stationed was by the front of the first of these three, if we're going from right to left as you're facing the stage?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, that was that front right corner.
To the front right corner, okay. And is it fair to say that Mr. Staples was in the middle to the back of the middle section, section number 2?
Correct.
Okay. And you don't know specifically how many people are in each of the cordoned off areas, each of these little groupings, correct?
I don't know.
But there's several rows in each section, correct?
There was.
And with respect to the people in attendance, is it fair to say that not only do we have adults in attendance, but is it fair to say that a fair number of people actually brought children with them, younger children?
There's a good amount of children there, yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the point of that was, other than there's tons of people making noise. We heard babies, because you got the volume jacked up so hard.
Do you have any requests?
Yeah, let me see, hold on. So he's saying, I don't see what the point of that was, so I don't have anything further at the moment, but you might need to come back. If you can please not talk to people out there that are witnesses, thanks.
Call your next witness.
Yeah, there's a sequestration order, so.
It's already been
Next, we'll
violated.
call Major LaVoy.
Yeah, I want to know who Baldessari talked to out there and what he said as well.
Yes.
100%, so we'll get him back for sure.
Just standing at the door talking.
Standing out there talking. It's all good, don't worry about it. Gotta get them stories straight.
You should sign an affidavit for that witness of that.
Yeah, we good, yeah. This is crazy.
You look like a deer in headlights on my phone.
I bet.
Well, I'll swear you would.
Larry, before we proceed with this witness, can I just ascertain that Lieutenant Baldessari remains in the courthouse?
I believe, the last I saw, I think he was seated in the conference room. I can go check just to make sure.
Well, if you could just secure his presence until,
We're done.
Lock
with
him in
that.
a room by himself, yeah.
He's still over there, it's funny enough.
if someone could be sent out to just give him the message to stay, so Attorney O'Leary, that we can keep moving.
By himself.
Just make sure it's not involved.
Which one is this?
That'll get the whole case dismissed, I'll tell you that right now.
It's crazy. He should just dismiss it now. It's just a waste of time.
Support it.
Yeah, secure.
you off to the court, do the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Would you give us your name, and would you spell your last name for our record?
Chad Lloyd,
Oh, this guy.
L-A-V-O-I-D.
And your current rank is Major Boy, correct?
That's correct.
Where are you employed?
I'm employed by the Department of Safety, Division of State Police, as a trooper, and currently hold the rank of major, and I've been employed since 2005.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about your training and experience in terms of getting onto the state police. Is this the only law enforcement agency you've worked at? You've worked at other agencies?
Correct. The only law enforcement agency prior to joining the state police, I was on active duty in the United States Marine Corps for 4 years.
Okay. And when you started with the New Hampshire State Police in 2005, have you always been in like the Troop D place, or were you in other different troops throughout the state?
No, I've served in other parts of the state and other troops as well.
Okay. When you were at Troop D, at some point in time, did you rise through the ranks at Troop D and ultimately become a sergeant, then a lieutenant, and then ultimately move on from there to your position where you're a captain and a major?
Yes, that's correct.
So could you give the court some idea of when you were in Troop D, what period of time, and what your roles were there?
Sure. I was promoted in January of 2020 to the rank of lieutenant, and the position I held over at Troop D in Concord was troop commander. So over at that position, I oversaw, a number of troopers to include staff, civilian staff, executive secretary, detectives, sergeants as well. And our primary mission is, law enforcement, motor vehicle, and criminal law, given under our jurisdiction throughout Merrimack County to include some of the interstates that go outside of Merrimack County as well.
Okay. So in that capacity, as the lieutenant and troop commander at Troop D, you acted in that capacity up to sometime shortly before this incident with regard to October 13th, 2021, correct?
Correct. I believe it was in May I was promoted to the rank of captain, where I was assigned to our operations bureau out of headquarters. And one of the troops that I remained overseeing was Troop D in Concord at that point.
Okay. So, and after you left Troop D, it became a captain, was there a period of time when there was a vacancy or there wasn't anyone acting as the troop commander at Troop D?
There was, yes.
So when you got to October of 2021, is it fair to say that Staff Sergeant Baldessari